You have almost never seen Jason Garrett clap and actually be a good thing. What last night means for the Cowboys, the Saints, and the entire NFL. Also college. The weekend that will tell us everything we need to know, and we'll have no debate after. This is our panel. Let's go.
So easy.
Do you believe that? We will have every question answered this week in college football. We won't even have that discussion on Monday. Do you believe that?
Yep. Izzy does. Don't need to talk about it.
Cowboys 13, Saints 10. Maybe not the biggest thing to come out of last night, but that 13-10 could still be a score in the NFL in 2018, and it'd be a good game. That's something. Where's Tim Calishaw today? Here's Tim Calishaw today. Couldn't be on the program. A result no one thought was possible. You could take Timmy's points. How about that? A result that now maybe changes the trajectory of the season, maybe provides a blueprint for the league on how to play the Saints, how to fluster Drew Brees, how to play defense in 2018. I want to ask you guys how shocked you were with this outcome. Woody Page, we're going to start with you, and you look marvelous today. Did the Cowboys crack the code on the Saints?
Cracked it wide open. I think this reminded me of Enigma in World War II when the English figured out the code of the Germans, and that's exactly what they did. They
Good
split
reference.
their
like
rushing linebackers and forced the offensive line to move out. Then they brought pressure from the inside. And with Drew Brees, as we know, he's a shorter quarterback. He couldn't see the field. I think that's what happened on that last interception where he just couldn't see. He had all these faces from both sides in front of him. I think teams going forward are going to say, let's try and copy that. Let's single cover their wide receivers and bring more pressure on Drew Brees.
Israel Gutierrez, how shocked with you with last night's outcome? And did the Cowboys figure something out here?
I was pretty shocked from the very beginning when the Saints go 3 and out in a couple of possessions. You're like, wait a second, this is not the team that I'm used to. The formula, though, has been the formula since the beginning of football. Get to the quarterback, time of possession, run the ball, defense. You actually have to do it, and the Cowboys just did it. The Saints were off. You could see that. They were probably not expecting that type of pressure from the Cowboys, and by the end of it, that inexplicable interception that Drew Brees threw, that wasn't even necessarily because of pressure. He was just rattled. You saw it as he was throwing the football. So I think Dallas did a good job, but this wasn't the A Saints you were getting. You were getting maybe the C- Saints. So the Cowboys, good
well,
for
maybe the Cowboys were forcing them to elevate them much. C-. And you called it an inexplicable interception. After 4 quarters, it was quite explicable. You saw what the Cowboys are doing all game. Bob Ryan, what did you see last night?
Not if you know how Drew Brees plays.
Mm-hmm. I want to applaud Coach Page for his analysis. Very trenchant and very nice. Now, however, it's about execution in my mind. It's about execution, and they executed. There's no secret formula. Everybody knows inside pass rush. It bothers Brady. And you have to stop it. Okay, it's like saying, okay, what's the formula to win a baseball game? Oh, why don't we pitch a shutout, hit 4 home runs, and catch everything? Basketball. Why don't we shoot 75%? Make sure they get an offensive rebound. All right, it's about execution.
On to something.
So they did.
Right, Clinton Yates. What did you see last night?
I saw a very ugly football game. You talk about execution, Bob. There's fumbles all over the place. Guys are dropping the ball. Look, I am allowing the Saints to have a bad game at this point during the season on a Thursday night on the road. Okay, let's not overreact here. The Cowboys, big gut check for this squad. They managed to get a win where they needed to at a place where their season was basically on the line in these past 2 weeks. That's what I'm impressed with. The Saints didn't look great. I can't expect Kamara to get bottled up like that more than 2 weeks, 2 weeks in a row. Dallas got to win when they needed to.
It wasn't just Kamara getting bottled up, though. It was Brees, and it was Michael Thomas. And wait, you thought this was an ugly game. You thought this was bad football.
I was not nearly as entertained by this game as I was a Monday night previously in L.A.
Does anybody else think this was bad football? I'm curious about this. I saw the ratings, and it was the highest-rated Thursday night game basically ever. Woody Page, go ahead.
Yeah, Tony, 2 weeks ago we were talking about 50-50. Can anybody play defense around here, as Casey Stengel would say? Well, now you saw your defense last night, people. Did you really enjoy that game? If it hadn't been the Cowboys and the Saints, you probably would have turned it off and gone to the basketball game and saw some real offense.
Hold on a second. Where's this coming from? I just said it was the highest-rated Thursday night game that they've ever had. The idea that this wasn't entertaining to watch, to see, to play out. Or the idea, Israel Gutierrez, that defense can still win in the NFL in 2018.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and guess it was highly rated because it was the Cowboys, America's team, and the Saints, who everybody wanted to watch that offense. I think 3/4 of the units, if you're counting offense and defense, played to their strengths. The New Orleans Saints defense played well. The Cowboys defense played well. The Cowboys offense played and the Saints offense played horribly. And so you get that combination, and you get an aesthetically unpleasing game, even if it was at times some good football.
Listen to you guys. Okay. While watching this hideous, ugly football game that really is an aberration and is unimportant, Bob Ryan, let's talk about the victors, the Dallas Cowboys. So they prove that they're a threat to do something this season.
They're a growth stock, and they may be a tough out in the playoffs, as Woody Page has told me already today. But they're not a contender. They're not a team that is going to be playing on that first February Sunday. Okay, but they're back in the mix, and they're going to win the division. I'll give them that.
We have seen a Denver Broncos team that was defensive-based a few years ago win a Super Bowl. We saw an Eagles team last year who offensively and defensively were pretty evenly matched, but they won with some defense in the Super Bowl. Could a team like the Dallas Cowboys, defensive-based, contend this year, Israel Gutierrez?
Yeah, I think even in those past years, maybe the Ravens, you kind of predicted it. Maybe the Bears, the defense, you kind of predicted it. But you don't really see that playing out, right, when you're in the regular season. But this could be the type of win that sort of buoys that Cowboys defense and makes them believe, hey, we can be this dominant, and we only have to beat one, maybe two dominant offensive teams, but we can do it with this group. I think it gives them the belief to do it. I don't believe that everybody in the country should say, hey, they're going to win.
We're after the horn. I wanted to talk about one more thing. Refereeing. I mean, this is the second high-profile game in 2 weeks where it was kind of all over the place. And my question to you, Woody, has the league become too hard to reliably ref?
When I started covering the NFL in the 60s, I remembered about 12 rules. Now there seem like there are 12,000 rules. How is anybody supposed to interpret that, even with the challenges? With the speed of play and with the complications that we see in the NFL on both sides of the ball, I don't think it's possible. But it's left out that the league is transitioning to full-time referees. Everybody wanted that.
Yep.
Well, guess what? You're losing the best officials that you've had over the years. So you've got inexperience out there.
But there's point of
also.
emphasis, like the hit to the heads, and you see Kamara go out like he did, and that wasn't even flagged. It wasn't even talked about. It wasn't even noticed during the game. Or the Beasley play where he's clearly down before the first down marker. It's a big play, but there are no challenges left, and, well, we just move on. Those were two huge moments in that game. We've been Horn. Let's move on. College. Say it with me now. The weekend that will tell us everything, and we'll have no questions, no debates afterward. All goes to plan, sure. Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Pitt, Oklahoma, Texas, Ohio State, Northwestern, UCF, Memphis. Israel, I want to start with you. Would you rather be Georgia, who controls their own fate, Oklahoma, who controls most of their fate, or Ohio State, who has the easiest game but needs help, or UCF, who has zero control of anything and you people just ignore anyway?
You want to be UCF.
I do.
I'll take Georgia. And I think part of it is because of the familiarity with Alabama, obviously, having played them several times in high-profile games in this championship game. And I think when you've got not only Jake Fromm, who's obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the country and has completed 70% of his passes in 9 games, if they have a good offensive game, and that rushing attack is the best in the SEC. I'll give you a funny stat here. Alabama's 114 yards allowed rushing is the worst since Nick Saban's first year there. But if you take out the Citadel game and they're 275 yards, they're number 5 in the country, allowing 99 yards per game. Okay. So even that Georgia rush does not seem like it's going to intimidate Alabama.
You just undercut your own statistic there. That was very Kalishovian mood there. So you'd rather be Georgia going up against the best team in the country. Yates, how about you?
Get them now.
I agree, because if Georgia loses this game in a decent manner, they can still get into the 4. If I ask you, what team in the country do you think actually has a chance to beat Alabama? You'd say Georgia. And that's probably why they're going to get into the 4, even if they lose. So for me, I like the way that they control their own destiny. This is a good situation.
So you think Georgia could lose, still remain in the top 4, even if Oklahoma wins and Ohio State wins?
Yes, it is a good story from a television program standpoint, which is what this ultimately is for them
Bob
to get
Ryan,
back in.
where were you
Again,
with Clinton Yates there? He's invoking the storyline from the TV standpoint.
It's getting so chic to say that if Georgia loses by 1 point in triple overtime, that they're going to be in anyway. I would rather be the team that has the best chance to win the game. And the team that has the best chance to win its game is Ohio State, assuming that they don't have an emotional letdown after the Michigan game. And that's going to be an issue, by the way, I think, for them. But I think otherwise they have the best chance to win. They win, and then they let the other teams worry about. So, yeah, I'd rather be Ohio State.
Woody Page.
You guys are all wrong. I want to be UCF. I have an opportunity to go undefeated for 2 consecutive years and get myself another national championship ring because we're self-declared world champions. And they want to prove that they can do it without their star quarterback, and they have the longest streak that could last into next year at some point.
Woody, let me
too.
ask you this.
That's
We can play odds maker here. We'll borrow this from PTI. Should Oklahoma and Ohio State lose, and I guess Georgia as well, odds maker that UCF gets that spot in the top 4. What's the percentage?
10%.
10%. Good. I was higher than I thought anyone was going to say. Israel?
I'm going to go 11.
Clinton Yates?
0.
Bob Ryan?
-0.
Okay, yeah. That's where I thought this
not paying in.
going. -0. All right. So as we get the horn here, the last word is pick your 4, just so I know as we're going away, so I can get points or deduct points on Monday. Woody Page, who's going to be for the last 4 standing on Monday?
Well, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame by default, and then Oklahoma is going to win 63-62.
I've got that same Final Four. Oklahoma's going to have the best win, better than Ohio State, and they're going to get in rightfully.
Alabama, Oklahoma, Clemson, and Georgia.
I think you missed Notre Dame. I'll put you down for Notre Dame, too.
The obvious 3, and since I just said Ohio State, I'm going to say Ohio State and Oklahoma.
All right.
Texas will take care of Oklahoma.
The picks you make equal the points you get or the mutes you take, as we always say on this show. Get a break right here. Buy or sell is on the other side. As you may have noticed, the wardrobe, some might say malfunctions. I would say wardrobe function we're working with today. This is for Craig Sager as we honor him today. An authentic original. We all know Craig. We all love Craig. His spirit is with us today, and you can go right now and let's drive some awareness for cancer research as part of the V Foundation. You can bid on any of the unique Craig jackets that are on ebay.com/ESPN or donate at v.org. We'll be back with Buy or Sell.
Or you can have this one for free.
You're 17.
Woody Page, Israel Gutierrez in the lead as we go into Buy or Sell. Let's talk Warriors-Raptors. You can tell us.
What are we in right now?
Regular season.
There you go.
And you can say.
I don't give a damn about no damn Drake night.
However, the actions belie the posture. Raptors 131, Warriors 128 in overtime. Was this a good game because there was a lot of offense, guys? Yes, this was great and spectacular. What else was it, Woody Page? More impressed by Durant? More impressed by the Raptors last night?
Impressed by the Raptors and the way they played. It was like a playoff atmosphere. And even without their guards, Lowry treated it like it was a regular season or an exhibition game. And the guards didn't play well at all, but Leonard showed why he's there and the depth of that team to actually overcome what Durant achieved last night. They had not won in 5 years 8 games.
Israel Gutierrez.
Yeah, I'm more impressed by Durant because this is not a complete Warriors team, and this is a very good Toronto team that's supposed to win this game. Durant scored 51 points in a game that Kawhi Leonard was on the other team. That in itself should tell you how impressed.
Clinton Yates.
Yeah, but the Raptors are 19-4. I mean, this team is good. You know what I'm saying? How they were going to come together with Kawhi was something that was to be determined. And getting a win like this, yes, they're supposed to do it, but it happened.
Yes.
Thus, I'm.
It's the determining part of the to be determined. I'm with you, Clinton. And how about you, Bob?
Memo to Kyle, guys, don't go huggy after the game if it's just another regular season game. It was a big game. But I'm on board with Durant. I am a believer in the Raptors, but they had to go all out to beat a team without Curry and without Green. Why? Because Durant had 51, so I'm on a number. He's the man.
Bob, let me ask you a question. And if I was trying to be fresh, I would ask it like this. Is the NBA good? Because I know how much you guys adore everything that happens, but this league right now in 2018, last night's game being emblematic of it, is it as good as it's ever been?
Understanding that the game has radically changed over the last 30 years. It's a different game now. In this style of game, it is damn good. Yes, it's very good.
So I was right. The NBA is good. You think the NBA is good. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Buy or sell too. How much do I defer and allow some of our young guys to figure it out? How much do I try to take over games? That's the quote from LeBron last night after the win. That's what Woody says before every show. Also, Magic on LeBron's usage. Let's take a listen to this.
We're trying to make sure that we watch his minutes, but also that we don't run everything through him because now it is Cleveland all over again, and we don't want that.
Buy or sell Magic saying that, Israel?
Oh, I'm buying it. This is about saving LeBron for when it really matters. And this season, no offense, this season is not going to be the season that really matters for LeBron as a Laker. They're not going to win a championship. You keep his minutes down, keep him fresh.
Glenn Yates?
Which is why I'm selling this. I don't understand why he has to come public with that. That seems like an awkward thing to sort of admit when you know you're trying to find a rhythm with LeBron and those young guys. Just let them work it out on their own. I don't need Magic telling me.
Brian?
They brought in Rondo, who's hurt, and they have Ball to take the ball handling pressure off LeBron in the first 3 quarters, and then he can take over in the fourth. I think it's a very logical formula.
Page.
Clinton, you're talking about that Magic shouldn't be discussing this publicly. Well, LeBron is discussing it. He says, I don't know whether to be, the guy who takes over every game or so they're both discussing. Keep the minutes down below 35 and let him take over as he did with 12 points in the fourth quarter. That's the recipe for getting into the playoffs. That would be an achievement this year.
Buy or sell 3. Richard Sherman versus his old team. Take a listen to this.
I don't really have a relationship with Russell. We were teammates. We played during a very special time for the franchise.
You've seen through the years what Russell is capable of doing.
Yeah, I've also seen him throw 5 picks in a game. So, you see what he's capable of on both sides of it. So.
That's how you sell a Seahawks-49ers game. Clinton, what are your expectations for Sunday and Sherman versus the old team?
I think he's going to have a big game, but I think anybody who boos Richard Sherman, who claims to be a Seahawks fan, doesn't know what they're talking about. You're siding with ownership there, not the team that's the best that franchise ever had.
Bob Ryan?
Oh, I definitely think nothing's going to happen. They're just going to play football. God knows that Sherman talking is not a story. It's a story if he doesn't talk.
Woody Page?
Yeah, you make it sound like there's going to be a medieval bloodletting going on. Here's what's going to happen. Russell Wilson's going to work on Richard Sherman because he is not the same cornerback as he was when he was in
Israel
Seattle.
Gutierrez?
Yeah, I just love Richard Sherman being something kind of different. Honest. No, he's always honest. And we knew about this relationship even before, right? So this isn't shocking. I don't think he's going to have a great game. I think he's going to try to have a great game, but Richard Sherman's older too and isn't the same cornerback as before. I would, though, like to see him go in a couple blitzes.
Clinton, you weighed in on whether you think there would be boos or not for Richard Sherman in Seattle, and you think it'd be foolish for Seattle to boo Richard Sherman. Bob, can I get your answer on that? And then Woody and Israel?
Oh, no, cheer him. He should be cheered. He was a great player for them, and no
Woody?
question. End of that story.
Standing O.
Israel?
Absolutely. The way he was let go is not great for him, not great for the fans. Should have been.
Well, the way we're going to let you go right now, Israel, not great either, but you look fabulous today. Have a wonderful weekend. Same with Bob Ryan. And now, 2 panelists who decided to dress like Craig Sager today, Woody Page and, oh no, I'm sorry, Clinton, that's your normal sweater. Okay. Showdown on the other side. Stick around. This is Inside Out. That's face. This is a showdown of old school and new school. But knowing these 2 guys, Woody, I'm going to say you're the youngest panelist we have, and Clinton, you're among the oldest. So good luck. Showdown 1, feature matchups of Week 13, Chargers and Steelers, which would be the wild card round right now in the AFC, and Vikings Patriots. Which game looms largest, Woody?
Well, it's got to be the Steelers against the Chargers. These 2 teams, as I well know, have lost the last 2 weeks.
And Vikings Patriots. Which game looms largest, Woody?
Well, it's got to be the Steelers against the Chargers. These 2 teams, as I well know, have lost the last 2 weeks to the Broncos, and the Chargers are making a comeback while the Steelers have had a bad
Look, it's got to be the Vikings. Let's not
beatdown.
forget how last season extended. It was on a miracle. What did you bring Kirk Cousins there for? To make sure this team can take the next step to the playoffs. The Vikes are more desperate.
Woody, I thought you were just saying you had watched these 2 teams. The Broncos have played the 2 teams, the Chargers and the Steelers, in the last 2 weeks. That's good information. We'll move on. Baseball trade almost complete. Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz to the Mets. That's a former All-Star and a current All-Star and 57 save man. Going to a team that's in the middle of a rebuild, question mark? Clinton, big win, little win, or no win here for the Mets?
I think it's a pretty big win. While Robinson Cano is a guy who's going to put butts in the seats, Diaz is effectively who this whole trade is for. And the Mets need anything they can get right now because the NL East kind of weak outside of the Braves.
Oh, come on. There's no way he's going to put butts in the seats. He may not even be around if he's suspended again, as he was last year for 80 games. And $102 million, that's going to pay for those extra tickets? No, I like this deal for Seattle.
Deal's getting kind of destroyed in New York. I don't know if I see it that way. I don't mind the Mets making this move. We'll give the point to Yates. Showdown 3. Hockey Tooth. if your opponent knocks it out, do you really want him giving it back to you like Johnny Boychuk did to David Krejci? Woody, what kind of thanks do you deserve for that good deed?
I think he should put it under his pillow and get a quarter tomorrow morning.
Tony, you know what the going rate is for the Tooth Fairy. It's nothing close to a quarter.
Yeah,
you got to get that bad boy up to $5. It's 2018, Woodrow. Step into the world.
Yeah, it's certainly not a quarter anymore. Francesca, she's not there yet, but
Really?
she's pretending like she's losing teeth. Let's get the point and FaceTime to Clinton Yates.
Wow.
All right, Washington's football franchise has stepped in it yet again. They sent Doug Williams out to try to defend this Reuben Foster pickup off of waiver situation, and he said something extremely foul. He called the domestic violence situation accusations small potatoes. He has since apologized. But listen, he should have never been in this position in the first place. Dan Snyder, you should have taken responsibility for something you know was your decision. You trotted out a legend out there and you embarrassed him. That's not cool.
Clinton Yates.
Woo! Was that fire?
Fire. All right, that's going to do it, folks. Thanks for coming around. 71.5-hour break. V.org. We'll see you tomorrow, Monday.